The All Black podcast is powered by our official cloud software partner, SAP, helping our teams in black become the best run teams in sport. To listen to this episode and all the All Black podcasts, subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and anywhere you get your podcasts.
Here we go. Can he make it? Yes,
This is the All Blacks podcast.
Kia ora whānau, welcome to the All Black podcast powered by SAP. The HSB World Sevens series is at the business end of the circuit now. It's a revamped series. There's new destinations, new structure, a bit of promotion, relegation I'm told, but the game continues to grow at speed. You have to tune into one of the tournaments to see how the standard is improving across all the teams that are in the series. To discuss the Black Ferns Sevens and the HSB World Sevens series are some of our up and coming players in the squad. Welcome to the pod, girls. Thank you for coming along. I really appreciate it. What did you get up to last weekend?
Oh, you want me to start? You're looking over here. You look like you're about.
It was a busy weekend, wasn't it? I'm told.
Busy weekend, Hong Kong Sevens. Came away with the win, played USA in the final.
Oh.
Epic stadium, South Stand didn't disappoint. On all 3 days, it was just a party all weekend.
And is that so for you girls? First time at Hong Kong, or had you been there before so you kind of knew what you're getting into? Because that's probably, I don't know, might be the most well-known Sevens tournament that there is on the series, one that I certainly grew up watching. Was it your first time there, or had you been there before and experienced it all?
That was second time for myself, but Nick's first time. Nick, you want to talk through your experience?
Being amongst the crowd for pretty much the 3 days was crazy. It was hectic. From 9 a.m. till whenever the games finished, the south stand was full. So it's pretty hectic, yeah.
Yeah, so you could sort of see it on the tally, like you watch some of the early games and looked like maybe a few people were out on the concourse just like easing into their work, just getting started. But by the time you're tuning in and watching like you girls in the quarters and the semis and the final, and then watching the men's teams in the quarters and the semis in the final, it looked to be amping up and could feel the atmosphere coming through. I was going to ask that, can you feel that? Are you jobs on when you're out on the field? I suppose it's total focus, but it seems bloody loud.
I think for all of us, we're like players that we kind of gain energy from the crowd. So, if we weren't probably on the field, we'd probably all be in that south stand. So running onto the field, just hearing everyone scream, and when you're playing, you can actually feel that energy from the crowd. So I think all of us, we actually love to take it on, and
I suppose that's a good attitude to have, isn't it? Because it's there, you might as well use it. You might as well try and channel it and use it to, find an extra little bit of energy or so. That's awesome. Is it? I suppose. Every tournament's important. I've no doubt. Has the same amount of points available, and you're working towards the end goal of trying to get the job done and win the series. But it's got to be extra nice, isn't it, to win that one? Obviously, to have both teams win is pretty cool as well. And I think I'm right in saying, is it only the second or third time that the Black Ferns have they've had the tournament there for the females as well? So it's pretty cool to be a part of an iconic one, which I think even the last time in that stadium as well, I'm told as well. So it had to be a particularly special win for the girls.
I think for each tournament on the World Series, it kind of carries its own history and legacy, and there's especially for Hong Kong, last year was the first year the women's were actually a part of the HSBC series at Hong Kong. So there was, way back in the day, there was a New Zealand women's team that went and played there, and so that was the start of the legacy of women's sevens playing overseas. And so that's kind of what we went into the tournament with, is kind of learning about that history, and then for this year now being the last year of it being at that stadium, so we were the first and last winners of that, so that's pretty cool to kind of write that history.
Tenika, are the job offers flooding in? Obviously, I actually think just as I was flicking on to watch, you were there with some sideline, I don't know what it was, to be honest. Was it commentary? Was it fandom? As I said before, I think you've carved out a new space in sports engagement is the sideline commentator fan, you know.
Yeah, like I've been getting these messages like, when can you start this new job and interview? But in commentary, to be honest, the messages I got was, I think it was Ricky Sonell was just like, please don't swear, please don't swear.
Yeah.
But no, it was, I don't know what that was, but
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, not throwing a hospital pass, but like a big game against Aussie, of course you're going to be excited. Like it's not like I suppose 15s where there's a bit more downtime around a scrum or a line out, or there's like more obvious gaps where you can say what's going on. You're just literally supporting the game, weren't you? Which is I loved it. It was awesome. Look, I wanted to a few warm-up questions, guys. Like talk a little bit around, maybe some of your favourite players growing up and why. There could be, maybe even potentially, some of the girls that you train and play with now, or there might be others as well. Risi, what about for you? Is there anyone who springs to mind?
Well, not looking at anyone. Mine would probably be Ty. Well, would have been Ty when I was in high school, Tyler.
Yeah.
And then also...
Is it not now that you play with her? Does she not become your favourite anymore now?
Now I'm just seeing... I see Ty every day. No, it would also have to be Kayla McAllister.
Yeah.
Just the way...
Yeah, she's been mentioned a couple of times, actually, yeah.
Yeah, the way she plays, to step, her aggression...
Yeah.
Her tackles.
You were saying she used to be scared of her, because she was like, this is full on.
Yeah, watching old videos, just looking at her, she looks intimidating.
She said she was angry off the field as well, just an angry person.
I could see that. Yeah, no, those would have to be my two.
Nice.
I think I was really lucky that when I went to when I was in Hamilton Girls High, my year 10 maths teacher was actually Shakira Baker.
Oh, how good.
So I was literally going to maths class and hearing all about the sevens. Year 10 was actually when I started playing sevens. So to be honest, before that, I'd never even watched sevens.
Yeah.
And then I had a few cool role models that were above me in years at high school. So had this one, Tenika. I wouldn't call her a role model. Man, she never wore uniform to high school. But she finished. Also, when I played club rugby for Melville, Honey Hirami was my coach.
Yeah, she's a gun.
So there was heaps of different players that were surrounding me
She's done so
as I
much,
grew up.
She just, every time someone speaks about her, I didn't know she was coaching at Melville as well, league, rugby, commentary, rainbow games, disability stuff. She's chipping in and helping out all over the shop, eh?
Yeah.
It's unreal.
Yeah, I had a few as well. Through Waikato Sevens, we were fortunate to be in there at a young age. We were at 16, I think, when I went to my first nationals and playing alongside Carla and China Huepa.
Yeah.
And back then, I guess still to this day, they're still going pretty strong for their young age that they are. But them, and then pretty similar to Jazzy, we had Ray Sheree through high school, who kind of, I guess, opened up these pathways for us at Hamilton Girls High. But no, pretty cool to be playing alongside them.
And it's cool that you've all referenced female players, because it's probably a sign that, as you're coming into the game, some of these pathways and teams were starting to evolve and mature and develop, and you were seeing, one was your teacher, but seeing that playing sevens or playing 15s or playing rugby was an option, it's pretty cool. How's it to sort of come in and then start training with some of these guys, and from what I've heard, sometimes there's training games and you get to play against each other, and no doubt you have to rip in. That's pretty amazing to be, maybe a couple of years ago. From that point, you might have been at school or just getting started, and then a couple of years later you're out on the field at Blake Park with the expectation that you probably don't hold back in any way, shape or form. It's got to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I still remember watching the Olympic final, the 2016 Rio one in school.
Heartbreaker, yeah.
It was, but then it's a couple of years later to be out here training with the girls, or at Hamilton first, and then just buzzing out and also intimidated at the same time that we get to train every single day against people that I used to watch on TV. So just that realisation and, I guess, moment of gratitude to be here and to know that now all of us are actually real competitive against each other on the field to make sure that we're putting ourselves in the best position when it comes to trials and tournaments. So, really just sometimes have to pinch yourself.
Yeah, you have to stop and have a think and have a bit of gratitude, don't you? Because probably it's like, we just talked about Hong Kong, which wasn't that long ago, but it's almost a memory now, and you've got to think about the next thing, and it's on to the next thing, and that's probably the nature of your job, really. But like for you guys growing up, it may be some of the same people you mentioned, it may be different, but who was particularly influential in helping you more than anything, like being a really positive influence on getting you into, not necessarily just rugby, but sport and shaping you for what you are these days, which is, full-time rugby players?
Mine would definitely be my parents.
Yeah.
They've never pressured me to have to play sport or whatnot, but they've always said, whatever you choose to do, you do to the best of your ability. So through high school, they were really harsh on schools are priority, sports is a privilege. So the same effort I put into my sport, I have to put into my schooling. And so when I was in high school and they were real harsh on me working hard through high school and my academics, man, some days I'd be so dark at them. Like this one time after a touch tournament, I got heat stroke and I missed a Monday of school. And my dad, the next time there was a touch tournament, he said, "You're not playing." And I was like, "What?" And he said that if Monday was a day 3 of a tournament, would you play? And I said, "Yeah, of course." And he said, "Well, you didn't turn up to school, so you treat Monday like a day 3 of your tournament." And so it's those lessons through high school that, man, there were some times when I just wanted to give him a jab in the face.
That's the teacher and your old man.
Yeah, exactly. But now when I look back on it, there was heaps of lessons, and probably someone else that's really close to me and Neeks is Holly Graham. So she was our touch coach growing up, and all of us come from touch backgrounds. Obviously, when we were younger, the opportunities in sevens and rugby weren't that big, but I think Holly was, as a touch coach, she saw the vision of you can't be a professional touch player, but there's a pathway in sevens, and all those skills that you've learned in touch, they're so transferable to rugby and turning it into a career. So I think she's someone that really pushed us to use our skill set to become a professional athlete. Not that it was touch, yeah.
Yeah, totally. It's got to be one of the most transferable things to take over to sevens, doesn't it? Tenika? Anyone particularly influential in helping you on the way?
Pretty similar to Jazzy. Like Hol's, she's been a big part of my career, even going through high school and even now, but her and Les Elder.
She's a gun,
real supportive through my journey. They know everything about just from my time of being in here in 2017, well, even earlier than that. Yeah. And I still talk to them about just everything that goes on in here and how I'm tracking and stuff like that. But it's pretty similar.
I love it. Can you guys think, what's some of the best players you played with and against? Does anyone spring to mind? Maybe it's the early days when you're going through touch or school or some of your early stuff, or maybe it's the journey so far on the world circuit, maybe an opposite someone in one of the other teams that you think, I just need to keep an eye on them. Like, can you, any players spring to mind?
I'll never forget Condor's finals. Turned up. Jazzy had a cast on her wrist.
Faking.
I was like, yes.
I fractured my wrist the week before.
And personally, I was so happy because I was like, yes, Jazzy's was the best player for her team. And so I was like, okay, if we come across Hamilton, Jazzy's not going to be playing. We came across them in semi-finals, and Jazzy was on the field with no cast on. I was like, are you serious? Because I knew Jazzy would be a threat for our team, and so that Jazzy's got to have to be one of my ones.
Yeah, I like it.
Vice versa.
Faking. Mental games. Crazy. You got it.
All mental games. It was all planned. I remember actually coming, knowing we were playing Risi and Motueka, and the night before I had messaged my doc and I was like, can I take my cast off? And they were obviously like, can't recommend it, but it's up to you. And so I remember the night before, got the scissors, cut it off, and then just so I could play against Risi. And we won.
Did it hold up all right? Well, I suppose the adrenaline kicked in and...
We won that tournament, so...
Yeah, good. There it is. Look, guys, for professional rugby players these days, full-time, like down here at Blake Park, and it's awesome, and got a couple of more tournaments to go in the World Series. But if you weren't doing this, what do you think you'd be doing? If it was outside of sport, what do you think you would be doing to earn a crust?
Okay, yeah.
Or not.
I'd have a family of 6 or whatever. Probably 7, then I'd make myself a 7's team.
Cool, I like it. Yeah.
So earning money.
Yeah.
Run my own daycare.
Service your own children
Yeah,
and make some money out of it. Yeah, I like it. Entrepreneurial. Yeah, very good. Jazz, what do you reckon?
The mature answer, if my dad was listening to this, would be getting my psychology degree. So that's what I'm studying at the moment.
We can clip that bit and push that out, sure, yeah.
However, reality would be I love travelling, so I would probably disappear somewhere across
blogger,
across the world, and just probably travel somehow, try and make a living off that,
take some photos,
see the world.
Write a blog,
exactly.
Recommendations. I can see that going really, really well.
Drag me along with my 6 kids.
I do want to have some sort of youth work, kind of academic sort of thing. Not sure where, either back home in Motueka or in Samoa on my mum's side.
Yes.
Not too sure how I'd plan it, but somewhere along those lines.
I like it.
Just not sure what it looks like right now.
The bones are there.
It's there. The foundation's there.
Yeah, the foundation's there.
Should I put a serious answer on it? Should I just keep that?
No, you can. Yeah, I mean, it's all about having options. So.
For the people.
No, totally. Look, if I was the manager of your team and I slid a piece of paper across, anonymous, of course, and said, who you want to room with and who do you not want to room with, what are the names that you're putting down on that piece of paper and why?
Myself.
Own room. That's all I want.
You guys are having coffee.
To be honest, I really don't mind rooming with everyone.
Good.
Yeah, I love actually just having time and space to be able to have DMCs with each different person overseas. This season, probably roomed the most with Georgia. Yeah. Us two get along real well. It's probably a bit dangerous. We kind of lead each other astray to the shops, go shopping way too much.
Most likely to be late to
keep
a team
each
meeting
other
or
up.
something.
Keep each other up, just chatting. But anyway.
Yeah, I like that.
Michaela Blyde.
Yeah.
You saw what you wanted.
Don't room with her.
She said openly on the previous pod that she likes to sleep. Anyone who gets in the way of that is someone that she doesn't want in her room. She likes to sleep in. She had issues with Teresa, who was trying to get up early and have a shower, and the rooms were a bit weird, they're a bit open planned, and that was an issue. And it sounds like it was a very difficult tour for Minnie, from what she was telling me. Yeah, but she's a very passionate sleeper by the sounds of it.
I think Michaela would probably also say she wouldn't want to room with me because Michaela has some pretty outrageous fashion choices.
Right.
And so before we walk out of the room, quite often I'll give her the stare and be like, I love you, but are you really wearing that out of this room? So I think that's why she probably wouldn't want to room with me, because I would lovingly judge a few fashion choices.
Sure. And
I had a few of those moments with Minnie as well. Really?
Is that what we're going to breakfast breakfast today.
The track pants and the big sneakers.
The breakfast. Okay. Classic. No, it's enlightening. It's enlightening. Look, talk a little bit about, like, you've touched on a little bit, but how and why you got into the game. You know, you obviously all played touch, which, you know, there's heaps of transferable skills there, but what got you over into sevens? You know, was there an point in time where you sort of locked in to that game and decided to give it a red hot crack, you know?
For me, Crystal and Brent Kawa, they had come into Hamilton Girls High to coach rugby 15s in 2011, I think it was. That was the first year that I think that they had brought 15s into high schools. Yep. And so from there, they coached all through my high school years, but 2012 was the first year Condors was brought in. And so we got to play in that with our like huge t-shirts. I was a little twig back then, and so I think from that Condors on, it was pretty special. I don't know, sevens was cool. It was exciting. All my friends played. Yeah. That was pretty much the reason why I liked playing. We got to get off school some lunchtime, like at lunch times, to go away and play. So yeah, I think from there's been I found the love for sevens.
Yeah. Often the way, isn't it, like doing it with your mates? Like that's any sport. Like if you can get into a group of people you genuinely like spending time with, then that just makes it so much more fun. And if you have a good team, a little bit of success, get to go and do some cool things, some cool experiences, Condor Sevens, etc. What about for you, Jazz?
Actually, similar to Neek's, is I didn't play sevens or rugby really growing up. Had 3 older brothers that tried to rough me up into playing rugby, but Crystal and Brent, similar, that there was a Japan tour, and so I'd never played sevens before, and just a touch player, and they wrote me on and said chance to go to Japan, and like couldn't say no to that. And I think just going overseas and recognising that sevens is a gateway to actually seeing the rest of the world, and playing alongside my mates, I think that's what kind of really roped me into giving it a good crack.
Mine would have been under 11s. My dad actually said to give rugby a go, but at that time there was only boys teams, and so I was only one of 2 girls in this under 11 boys team. Coaches at that time it would have been Heath Wilkins and Leon Johnston, and they actually coached us right till high school. And so I think for me that's kind of where my journey started, just playing in the boys team, all boys team, until high school. And then when we got through my high school years, I was really fortunate that my coaches at the time always tried to find opportunities for us to play rugby elsewhere, whether it was down in Christchurch where I'd play against Elena Saili as well, and then eventually qualified for Condors. And so for sevens it would have started at Condors.
I was going to ask that because you know, in Motueka, I'm not necessarily thinking there's, you know, 100 sevens players, like, you know, ready to go. So, like, was it a couple of key coaches? Was it a group of friends that sort of came together, made a team, and kind of paved that way to go off, you know, and eventually have a team that was able to be, sounds like, pretty competitive at the Condor Sevens?
Yeah, there was maybe 6 of us year 9s that played all the way through to year 13, so it was cool. We had just a core group of us that played right through, and then just being able to sometimes we'd go all the way down to Invercargill or Wamuru in 2 days and just play a 1-day tournament and drive back the following day. So
commitment.
Just to be able to have those opportunities, but for our coaches to go out of their way and find them for us, just to have exposure to different competitions, different players, and then from those experiences being recognised, I think just really grateful for all that they've done to find those opportunities for us.
So, like, this is what you do now, you know, like this is home base here at Blake Park, and where you do all your training and no doubt get stuck in. Like, coming from those environments that you're in, like, was it hard? Was it easy? Like, was it an eye opener? Like sevens, so many stories around some of the training that you have to do for sevens and how hard it can be. Was it all you thought it was going to be, or was it tougher? Like, can you remember some of your first big training sessions before even talking about getting into like internal games and that sort of stuff as well?
Yeah, it was hard. So me and Risi both came in straight from school.
Yeah.
So I was actually on a training contract through my last year of high school, while Risi was her first full contract. So I was skipping
18,
weeks.
Just basically 18.
I was skipping weeks of school to come and train with them. So this was before they were centralised.
Yeah.
And that was pretty cool to be able to skip school and go just play sevens was pretty cool. But it was scary. Like, I remember some very fond memories of getting on the training pitch and just having Niall Williams go to Bridge of Ruck and having Niall just come absolutely, and this is when I was way skinnier than this little twig, like already scared holding on, and just having Niall come fly and take my head off. Then having Gail Broughton, Kelly Brazier just like lining up to try to defend them, and then just giving you the 1-2 whack and gone. But I feel like it was those kind of moments where that's how they showed respect to you, is they weren't going to take it easy, and I feel like that was the quickest way to be able to learn and grow, was through those moments. Getting absolutely smoked.
Those OG girls were brutal, weren't they? I've heard some stories about Ruby and Niall, like even fighting with them amongst themselves, and like trainings being
And then it was funny because I actually lived with Kelly at Kelly's house and Risi the first year I came in as a fully contracted player, so it was funny going to training, Kelly just absolutely ripping into you, trying to get you to be better, stepping you, and then you'd get home, sit at the dinner table, and I'd be like, like nothing.
What shall we watch?
You were just yelling at me too.
I thought I was in trouble. Classic. And talk to us a little bit about like first time you sort of do some of those internal training games, and you're probably looking up and it's someone like that, but I suppose the message they're telling you without necessarily using their words is like rip in, isn't it? You've got to go 100%. Showing respect is going 100%. That sounds like what the message is. But some of those games must have been pretty sprightly as well, was it? Like if you've got Porsche and some of those girls going 100% at you. Yeah.
Well, when Shakira Baker was in here, like honestly, when she's lining up to run, you're kind of like, should I kind of give her my outsides with it? But then she's still quite fast, so like you can't really win here in sevens. Yeah. It's like go hard or go home, or go hard and go home, because sometimes you get sent home with those run-throughs. But it's I don't know, like every time that we play against each other, I think that it's harder than the World Series. Two of the best teams going at each other on the field, but not afraid to run it up the guts, and not afraid to get fended or fend off people. So, I don't know.
Well, I suppose it's like you say, it's very close to, or the best thing that can mirror what's going to happen when you're away, isn't it? Like there's nowhere to hide in sevens. There's so much space. Everyone's quick. Everyone's strong. So, if you can't handle it out there, you're not going to handle it out when the TV cameras and all that on as well. So.
And I think it's like a cycle. So when you first come in, it is this tough love, but it's for you to learn the standards of the team so quickly, and so then everything when you do in this environment just becomes habitual. And so then as more younger players come in, those standards is what you naturally So it's kind of like success breeds success.
Who's this young person around here that
It's my time.
Get on that bag.
But it's this, success breeds success, and it's this this positive, tough
standard.
love, cycle, and that's why I think we maintain growing players within our environment.
I think on that too, like now that the age that they wear and with the amount of time that we spend in the environment, it's kind of got to the point where we're like, okay, come on then, bring it then.
Let's go. Where you're just going toe to toe with anyone at any time, because that's what's got to be done. Well, I'd like to watch that. That'd be good. But it sounds like too, when it's all done and dusted, we're friends, like we're back into it, like you say, you're back, what are we watching on telly tonight? It's back to business, normal days, which has probably got to be actually just as important, because you can't hold a grudge, or you've got to be tight, don't you? You've got to push each other along, and in any given week someone else is going to get picked and you're not going to get picked, and that's just a part of it. Like, sometimes no matter how things are going, and people get injured and people don't, like, that must be a real skill as well, like not just the competitive aspect, but being able to calm down again and come back and help each other grow in that regard too, and I can imagine.
Yeah, I think it's such a emotional roller coaster. Like, for 3 weeks in between tournaments, you're constantly competing for a position in the team, and then you have to be able to switch to jump on a plane and be able to then go competing against each other, but now we're one team trying to compete against another team. Yeah. And so I think that's a real skill, and we have real good support. We have amazing psychologists, have each other to kind of help us guide each other through that, because it's not easy and it takes a while to actually build and learn those skills.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about the series. Like, even that, like, is there a real science, a skill, an art to being here at Blake Park and then jumping on a plane into a pretty full-on tournament over the course of a few days and then coming back again? Like, that's a whirlwind operation, isn't it? Like, did it take a wee while for you guys to get used to that, to know how to how to best perform in that environment? Even like, I was actually thinking about you, Jazz, on the weekend. Like, you're coming off the bench and you've just got to be on, and you've maybe got 3 or 4 minutes to make an impact. Really important. Like, that sevens, like, it's tiny little things that make a really big difference in the game. Like, you never want a card, like a turnover's massive. I was saying to the girls beforehand, quite often I watch games and I think, oh, this game's over, and the team scores 2 tries in a minute. One of them's on full time when the bloody red clock's 40 seconds over, and you're like, just blow the whistle, ref. But like, that's the game, isn't it? Like, does it take a wee while to get into that rhythm, of being able to lift it all up here and then go and get the job done quite specifically away?
I think, like, the preparation that we do here is a huge impact. Yeah. What happens overseas, our training management staff do an awesome job to make sure that we're getting what we need here so we can best prepare ourselves, whether it's knowing what certain teams are going to potentially show us in terms of pictures or how they're going to attack or defend, so that we can practice it out here. Yeah. But in terms of like the impact that game that you're talking about, that's something that we've also talked about amongst our environment, because it is such a crucial thing to get right, or just any little thing can make a difference. So it's not an easy thing to be able to come on and lift the game when everyone else is actually trying to stay in the game as well. Yeah. Like, these ones can talk more.
And I think as well is we always prepare for the moment. So like, one game you could be playing a whole 14 minutes and you have to be prepared to do that. And then another game, you could be coming off the bench, you only have 3 minutes, the team could be up, be down, and so you kind of always prepare for everything. So whatever the moment or the role you're playing in that game, you're ready for it.
Yeah, probably like in terms of preparation, like from my experience and how you talk about, like, has it taken you a while to kind of get used to it? For me, my biggest thing was probably, I thought that I was doing everything I could to prepare myself to play on the World Series back in 2017. But 5 years later, I get down the track and I'm like, oh, this is actually, what it takes to be on the field. And when we talk about preparation, all those little things count. And I guess for me, knowing that I can be doing more to best prepare myself for whatever situation that I get put into when we're playing on the World Series.
And it's funny because when you come into the environment as an 18-year-old, someone can tell you something and you can think you're taking it on and you're doing everything you can possibly, and then 5 years later you're like, I was not doing everything back then. So
it's on the night. It's recorded. It's on.
Put it on there. I'm telling Ricky. So it kind of is just a time thing that you can be told everything you can when you're an 18-year-old. This is the recipe to be the best in the world. Yeah. But it actually takes time and to just develop.
kick it in.
Unless you're Georgia Miller.
Yeah. Just
That kid, just, I want to swear, but
Yeah, you can swear, but there's talk a bit about like you say that learned stuff, creating really good habits. I suppose too, there's some girls on the team that's been there for a long time, and they're living it, they're doing it, and can you lean on them as well? Have a chat to those sort of guys. Like I know it's super competitive at different times, but there's some trailblazers in the team. Like see some of them out there training today, like Kelly and stuff, who have been sort of now full time on the Sevens circuit for over a decade. So there's some good experience in the team to lean on. Are they helpful? Like do they take you under the wing every now and again, or
sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah. But there's some good resource there, isn't there, in the team?
Yeah, there definitely is. I mean, I guess the one thing too is understanding that they're still learning along the way as well.
Yes.
So there might be some things that we ask that they actually don't have the answers to as well. So, but then there's also a lot of things that they have the answers to and have experienced. So can always lean on them if we need to, and then the other half is us just having to go through that and experience it ourselves to then fully understand the learning.
And I think everyone's so unique. Like, man, if I was following what Kelly was doing at home, eating, drinking a bottle of Coke each night, having a bag of lollies, man, I probably wouldn't be in this team. So there's things that players do that's so unique to them, and so I feel like it's quite cool being able to just observe and see what players are doing. I think for me, Sarah Hiddeny was someone that just observing her processes, everything she did, how she would warm up, her off-field, that was probably just someone that I observed what she would do. And then there were things that I was like, man, I really like that, so I'm going to take that on board and add it to my toolbox.
Yeah, a couple of people have mentioned that with Kelly. There's a little bit of...
She's special.
That's exactly how she's been described to me. Like, freak athlete, awful diet, awful habits, like, shouldn't really work, doesn't eat breakfast, like, got all these things.
It doesn't make sense.
Make it make sense, please. But no, I think, like, off that, they have a lot of knowledge from the years of experience that they've played, and the only way to build it is to play, I guess, and be put in those, be giving those opportunities. So, like, it's cool to know that with time, we can eventually get the knowledge that they have and more, just with how the game's evolving at the moment.
Totally, because it's amazing, like, to see the strength across the teams. Like, you guys dropped a pool game in the weekend and then were still able to get the W. Like, it just shows the strength there is. Like, so how are we tracking? There's 2 tournaments left to go in the series. You're first equal, maybe first on points differential, I'm told by Minnie. Yeah, like, she made a real point of that, so it's okay. All right, first then. And how are we going? Like you guys personally as well, what are you working on? What are you trying to achieve? I know we're trying to get as many points as possible, trying to win the series, but is it focusing on your role in the team? Is it getting fitter? Is it like how are we building as we go into those last 2 tournaments and also the big show in Paris as well?
I can see he's looking at me.
Thank you, Risi.
Risi, what are you doing?
What am I doing? Personally, for me, it's just making sure that by the time we get to the opportunity of, trialling for Olympics, that I'm able to perform or be sharp in all 3 positions or whatever positions it is that I'm trialling for, so that if the opportunity does come and the moment's there, that it's executed. It's accurate. I think as a team, like we've said it from the very start, even when we weren't winning, that we've been on our own journey, we've got our own plan, and it's just about, we never went out and wanted to lose. It's just what happened at that time. But we're sticking true to our journey and what we've got set out for us, and trusting that we do our own work to make sure that we're in the best position come the moment.
Believe in the process. Believe in the process. I like
With that as well, it's probably having fun along the way. Like, there's no point getting to the Olympics and then don't know what happens. Outcome's the outcome, but we look back and we're like, well, that's another cycle done.
Yeah.
I think for me and a part of our team is just having so much fun with each other. Having so much fun along the way and enjoying the journey, so no matter the outcome, we can still look back and be like, man, that was such a cool time.
Yeah.
Loved the journey along the way.
Loved playing with each other. Alongside each other. No, I think the same. Like, small wins is probably, like, we always talk about it, but never truly, I don't think we've, like, show appreciation
sort
for
of
it.
the gratitude of all the places you go, the things you get to do, the opportunities sort of thing.
Like, we never, for example, like the Canada LA, we didn't really celebrate, not like used to winning, but we won tournaments and it was kind of like, yeah, cool. And then we lost those tournaments and lost the last 3 tournaments were a struggle, I guess. And from there it was kind of like, man, when the time's right or when the time comes, we need to actually celebrate these. And so Canada and LA I guess that was like a focus. And however that is for the team, and each individual does that differently. But similar to Jazzy, have fun, but just celebrating the little milestones along the way, whether it's players, we don't have all 20 players out on the field when we come back this week, so that's like a really cool thing for us. So little things like that, I guess, talking about strengthening the modi within our team, it's little things like that I think are going to push us into a better place for the Olympics. Because
it is a journey, isn't it? Like it's a long old season by the time you go to every stop on the tour, and by the time you get done in Paris, like it's a big old undertaking. So you've absolutely.
And it's actually quite hard to. People think that it's just easy to celebrate and just continue on, but sevens is not like any other competition. In 15s, you have one game for the month, for All Blacks, Black Ferns, and that's their sole focus. But for sevens, it's you have a job to do, you win it, but then you come back home and there's always going to be another tournament. So it's like this roller coaster of, man, it's actually quite hard to stop and be like, let's just celebrate this. Cool. That was cool, because you're just on such a fast roller coaster that sometimes there's just not time to just stop. So it's a good reminder that keep celebrating those small successes.
Well, on that note, well done last week, because I can tell from someone, who was watching back home, it was awesome. Like to sit in there and have both teams competing in all the knockout stages, getting the W. It's such an iconic event. Like, it was wicked, loved it, watched it with the kids. Like, it was awesome. So congratulations and well done. Hopefully you can enjoy that and celebrate that a little bit while you're back home now, before you get back into some hard work. Like, maybe this week's been a bit more low-key, has it? I don't know what the trainer does, I don't know, but maybe it has. But I've seen there's been a bit of people doing a bit of mahi out there in the rain, and that might be in your future as you build to these last couple. Thank you so much for coming in, girls. Good luck for the last 2 tournaments, and good luck for the big show in Paris as well.
The All Blacks podcast is powered by our official cloud software partner, SAP, helping our teams in black be the best run in sports. Hosted by Rob Dunn in the Hargrave Street studio. Produced by Carl Thompson from Blue and Ginge, the podcast producers. Video editing by Mac Leesburg, graphics by Western Design, content advising from Andy Burt, and commercial manager for the podcast is Valeska Hoth. Follow the All Blacks podcast on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, and anywhere you get your podcasts.